Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. Today we have Rebecca Palmer with us, and Rebecca is the co-founder of Fruitful, co-founder and head of financial guidance. So, Rebecca, thank you for joining me on the show today.
I am super happy to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. Um, so where are you from?
I am from all over the place. I am a mutt when it comes to geography. I've lived on the East Coast, the West Coast, the middle of the country, abroad, all over. But right now I am outside of Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
You are
you're
too.
right in my neck of the woods. So yeah, you're we're about 15, 20 minutes away from each other. It was really nice meeting for coffee. And
It was
where
really
was it? Was that like Falls Church or where exactly were we?
that was in Falls Church.
Yeah. At Northside Social. Their first location wasn't that the one in Arlington and like Clarendon, I think.
Yeah, they have another one in Arlington. I actually bought a painting off of the wall of that coffee shop
Really?
that I thought my husband would like. They sell art there too, so you can just buy them if
You
you want
just
to.
I
It's
had
really fun.
no idea that that was a thing there.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
Really? Wow. Was the Arlington was the first location, right? And then I guess they expanded, or did they always have the one in Falls Church?
I do not know, but I feel like the Arlington one has been around for a while.
It has. I think I like the one in Falls Church better.
Mm,
Seemed nicer. I don't know.
it is nice.
Yeah. Anyways, that was fun. Well, cool. So you moved around a lot as a kid. You said that that was like formative because you developed certain skills based off those experiences of moving around. Could you tell us about what you learned from those experiences?
Yeah, so we happened to move almost every 2 years. Never intentionally, it just kind of kept happening that way. And so I saw my parents model just like a really great attitude and approach to efficiency to deal with that, right? Because if it takes you a month or two to pack up and another month to unpack, like you really can't dawdle or you'll just be living in boxes and stress like constantly when you move that much. So they have a really no nonsense attitude about like, hey, what are the things that need to be done? You can't live in an unfinished state all the time. You just have to do it. Don't give yourself excuses. Do it and do it right now. And so that translates not just to like packing up rooms, but also like reply to that text, do it right now. Book the dentist appointment, do it right now. Choose the house, reply to that email, talk to that person at work, like just do it right now. No excuses really. And
Yeah.
it it feels funny. Like I don't know if other people are like this, but it feels like a mental mode of extreme optimization. Like I'm always thinking about how to optimize things, and I
Mhm.
have a hard time not doing this. So like if I am making dinner, I literally am thinking about how many times I am opening and closing the refrigerator.
Oh
Like,
wow.
can I
Like
open
you're
and close your refrigerator fewer times? Yeah. Or like when I'm drinking water, I'm like counting the number of gulps I drink. Maybe that's like
no,
extreme, but
no way. Seriously?
yeah, it's real. I do it. I don't know why, but uh yeah.
You're on it.
My mom would do this thing when she would tidy up the house where we each had a stair on the staircase. And like if we left our stuff around, she would put our stuff on that stair. And if you are going up the stairs to your room, you better grab your stuff that's going to your room because you're going anyway. So why not be optimally efficient and just like take it right where it
And
needs
well
to go?
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny. You know, it's funny, like the is it every? Yeah, I would say like literally every single successful entrepreneur that I've met is incredibly responsive. Like you were talking about responding to the text right now or getting like that is a trait that I've seen pretty consistently across the board to the point where it's something that I try to model and accelerate like anything. It's like whenever I say like where my brain goes like, oh, okay, I can do that later
Yeah.
today, an hour from now, later today, tomorrow. I have trained myself to be like, can I just do it right now? We obviously need to prioritize and we can't just get distracted at every single thing, but like more times than not, I've just learned throughout my career like why are we doing it tomorrow? Just do it today or be responsive. Like being responsive to people should be a priority, right? Like as long as we're, it's I suppose it's like you know, relevant to what we're trying to do. But I would say it is like we can't underestimate the importance of just being like highly responsive and just getting things done quickly as entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, I call that eating the frog. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, but like
Okay, you got
if
to
there's
explain that
that
one to me.
Yeah, well, I don't have any more explanation other than that.
Oh,
Like, it's the
okay.
last thing you want to do. Like, right? You're like, I know I need to do that thing and I'm putting it off. Like, because you have that feeling, that is, you have to do it because you have to get over that, the fear or the overwhelm or the anxiety or like whatever it is that's making you want to avoid that thing. Um, if you want to grow and be able to manage bigger teams or grow a bigger company or achieve different things, like you have to eat the frog. You can't
Oh
just do
yeah.
it fast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually something that I discuss with my team a lot. I think I told you when we met in person that I have a building a go-to-market team here
Yeah.
in Reston, Virginia, and like speed is something that we discuss. Like we discuss like speed a lot. And we talk about like we actually had a conversation earlier today about problem solving. And I have a phenomenal team and they're incredibly bright, junior level staff on the GTM motion, like 23 years old, and they're incredibly bright and creative. And when it comes to problem solving, one of the things I discuss is like just like okay, solving the problem, acting incredibly fast and
Mhm.
executing a solution. So a lot of times, like in a go-to-market stand-up, it's like, here's the problem, we define the solution, go. Like, let's today, right? Let's get it done. Um, and I kind of like explains like, okay, like our job is problem solving, like, and I'm okay with problems. They're always going to come up. But the one type of problem that we cannot tolerate is a problem that we had a month ago that we still have today.
Yeah.
Like that, we got to act fast, take action, and solve, right? Like it's that speed is just so important as like a startup founder.
Yeah. And speed is one of your only advantages, right? When you're looking at like bigger incumbent companies, like the fact that they can't move as fast is an opportunity for you. And you're never gonna out resource them. You're not gonna out solution them probably, but you can listen to the customers more closely and you can build stuff faster, which means you can iterate faster. Um, yeah, and nothing is ever going to be perfect. Like, so if you wait until it's better, or if you're like, it needs to be just like this before we release it or before we tackle that thing, um, it's like compounding interest, but the reverse. It's like the
Yeah.
compounding slowness, and you won't get it done.
And like the what I've been surprised with just throughout my career is like how fast things can compound in the right direction if you're moving fast. If you
Mhm.
force yourself to act today, like I feel like there's been times where when I learned that lesson, that like in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months, things have compounded like so much faster for me than I could have even anticipated by just like holding myself to like a higher standard when it comes to speed. Like
Yeah.
it's
I
interesting.
think
Yeah.
some of the reasons why people don't do that, I think kind of related to the eat the frog thing, is because it gets so big and scary in their head. And something that we do a lot at Fruitful, and I do a lot in my life when I'm feeling, overwhelmed or something, is I take this big nebulous problem and I break it down into like, no, what do I actually have to do today? Like, what are the actual things that need to get done? It's not usually a lot, right? And those like little things, you can do them quickly and you can do them today. And then you don't have to worry about the big cloud because it will sort itself out if you keep doing the little stuff.
Yeah, I remember when we met for coffee, we were talking about like the concept of burnout. And I
Hmm.
think you said something around like you think it typically comes from people getting like overwhelmed essentially and not breaking down things they have to do into manageable tasks. Didn't you say like I think you said if I remember correctly, it was like the number one reason you see people kind of like struggle with burnout when you do see that.
Yeah.
Is that
Uh,
right? Did I say that correctly?
yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think one, only people who care burn out. So like it's a problem for people who try a lot and work really hard. Um, but in my experience with myself and what I've seen generally is that they're often feeling like there's so many things that I have to do and they're all big and they're all nebulous and I need to do them all and I can't do them all. Um, and you can't, like, you have to prioritize, right? Like that is completely true. You cannot do them all in a vague nebulous form. Like they will feel insurmountable. You have to figure out like what balls do you need to drop. Sometimes the answer is you have to drop some balls and pick them up later. Sometimes the answer is you like pick a small bit of the problem. Sometimes the answer is like delegate that problem. Like you don't need to be doing that. Like someone else can be doing that for you, but you
Hmm.
have to take it out of the nebulous and into the what do I actually need to do? And then it doesn't feel as overwhelming. And your day doesn't feel as overwhelming, you don't burn out.
Yeah, it's I think you're right though, because if we are overwhelmed, like a lot of the times it's like maybe there's okay, there's a lot to do, but there's like one immediate next step that you have to do. So like okay, it's a big project, but like today, right? Like there's this one
Mhm.
thing. I think it's what's interesting is like on the flip side, I don't know, like this sort of reminded me of another thing that I see a lot is people will get overwhelmed when they feel like I've tried everything and I can't like
Yeah,
get the result. And what I've learned just as a leader and just like for my own internal, like, just checking myself when it comes to that or when I see others, it's like, okay, well, what is everything? And then you find out it's like, okay, we've tried like two things. Like like we haven't tried everything. We tried everything, we would have figured it out, you know?
yeah.
But we let things kind of stack, I think, right? And we're not like if we just focus on like one thing at a time and just like executing
Mhm.
and iterating, right?
For
Can
sure.
help move.
And yeah, and the other reality is that like life is always part of it too. And we can't always solve, the life parts for our team. We can only solve the work parts for them.
Hmm.
Um, and so, I don't think we can be too hard on each other when people are feeling overwhelmed or burnt out because there's always something else and we just have to give them space. And if they're fabulous people, which they are because we hired them, right? Like we give them the tools to get clear and get stuff done and get moving and get feeling better. And they do. And we
Yeah.
have to help each other in that
Yeah,
way
for sure.
sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's I'm already really enjoyed this conversation. It's awesome. I want to double back to like when you were growing up because you mentioned you were moving around a lot. You had also mentioned that you moved to Moscow not once but twice. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. I lived in Moscow twice as a little girl. I'm American. My parents are American, but we lived there for my dad's job twice. And the funniest thing that happened while we were there is that because my dad didn't work for the embassy, unlike a lot of our other American friends, we didn't go to the English speaking international school. They just put us straight into private schools in Russia, like in Russian. We didn't speak any Russian, not a word, couldn't even count to 10. So, like, the second time I was, let's see, 8 or 9 years old, I think, probably nine when I went, was there from like 9 to 11, maybe. And we just like walked into a classroom and sat down in a foreign language. And we had to figure out how to like do math in Russian and listen to history in Russian and go to art and play with kids on the playground. And that was such a valuable experience for me because I don't think I don't think there's anything I couldn't learn if I had enough time or enough immersion, right? Like everything is very figure outable. And the other thing it taught me is that you just have to be willing to embarrass yourself to learn and to grow. Like the first time you say that word, you're going to say it wrong. The first time you try to build that thing or sew that thing or make that thing or cook that thing or build that thing, like it's not going to be pretty, but if you let that stop you, you're never going to get anywhere. And so being forced to stumble my way through school in a language that I didn't speak was like a master class in just do it. Like you'll figure it out.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like it's kind of cool because it's like it's learning more about like kind of different experiences you have. It's like, oh, okay, it makes I can see you. It's like that those is the it's like the foundation of entrepreneurship in a
yeah,
sense,
yeah.
like because it's so many of the things that you learn kind of it seems like in a sense like almost prepared you for where you are today with
Yeah,
Fruitful.
I think that happens with everyone. It's so ingrained in me. I actually will do this to my kids when we're driving around, like if we're driving by a really, really tall building in DC or something, and the kids are looking at the building. I'd be like, hey, guess what? Like someone built that. Like there was a person who built that. There's a person who financed that. There was a person who designed that. Like it was just a person. Like you could do that. Like you could build that tall building. And it's fun to like break things down to that human level, right? It doesn't matter how big the business is or how big the skyscraper is or the bridge is or the social impact is. Like it's just a person
Yeah.
doing it. So
Yeah, I think just it's like from a mindset or a psychology perspective, I think it is important to remember it's like when we're building stuff, particularly as an entrepreneur, when you're building stuff from scratch, or with kids, or even I suppose adults, like building confidence, thinking about people's abilities. It's like when you look around at the world around you, literally everything that you see, like
yeah,
everything like man-made that you see, man-made, Everything that you
Mhm.
see started off as an idea in somebody's head. Everything, right? Like this mic, everything in my pack, all of it was
Yeah.
somebody's is an idea that didn't exist in the natural world that was then brought into existence by just a regular human being that had the same, two hands and, you know,
Hmm.
like a brain like ours. I mean, like nothing like particularly different, right? I mean, we're all different in, I suppose, some ways, but essentially, we're very similar in a lot of ways, and I think that that's a really important foundation for people to kind of understand, right? Like all of this it's just made up stuff from like just different ideas that people had, right?
Yeah, there's just people making it up. And every single one of those people had people around them that either didn't care or didn't believe they could do it. They're like, and you have to, I think part of building something is just very relevant to what we're talking about here, in terms of talent and people, is that like you got to do stuff and you have to do it fast, but you can't build anything alone. And so the sooner you involve other people and find those other people that don't think it's impossible and that believe in what you're doing, the faster it's going to come to life.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. You also you talked about like a big part of your foundation being growing up in like it sounds like somewhat of a religious household with Christian values and thinking about morals and things of that nature. Can you tell us more about like the impact that that's had on who you've become as of today?
Yeah, I think the way I understand my life is that it's not entirely self-serving, right? Like I'm here to help other people or to do some good in the world. It's kind of like when the Boy Scouts are in the woods camping, it's the idea is like leave no trace. It's kind of like beyond that. It's like leave a positive trace, right? Like we were here, we made life better for people, for our kids, for people in our community in some way. I think just this idea that like I am held to a higher standard and like someone is judging me, like God is judging me, it means that I can't, in any part of my life, if I'm alone, if I'm with people, like I need to act in a way that is in alignment with my values. And that has been absolutely foundational. Like everything that I think about, everything that I do in my life pivots around that kind of like center of gravity. And it also brings a lot of peace because then you know whether you're out of alignment or in alignment. If you
Yeah.
feel like you have like a clean conscience, then I'm like, I'm not perfect, but like I'm doing my best, then I feel like it takes down the noise of stress and anxiety a lot because you know what you're aiming for.
I do feel like just throughout my life, I feel like people that I've met that have like a strong sense of faith, like tend to be happier
Yeah.
or more centered.
Hmm.
Yeah. For me, I'm just like such a massive skeptic.
Yeah.
I just like I have such a hard time like accepting, you know? Like
Hmm.
I think like morality in and of itself is fundamentally good, right? There is a such thing as a fundamental intrinsic good. Like we
Yeah.
all have this like sense of what's right and wrong, right? There could be, I suppose, some differences, but I think like often we sort of just inherently like intuitively know.
Yeah.
And I think that can be independent of religion. Uh, that being said, like I think, for instance, I think you can be moral for the sake of being moral,
Hmm.
right? Like I do believe that because I like that's I think more of myself, but I do when because I notice and I see people, I meet people that have like a high degree of like faith, and always one, it really impresses me, and two, it is like a consistent thing where I'm like, okay, they seem more centered and happier. I'm like, I should figure that out because I think I probably could be happier if like I could get myself to having more like um faith and like more being more in tune with like religion and my faith in God and things of that nature. But it's interesting. It's just been interesting to see like in people, right? And like differences in their personalities and
Yeah. It's
so
probably what you're seeing is the difference in perspective, right? Like if
right.
even if you're thinking about it kind of generically, if you're looking at a problem and your entire perspective is relative to this individual problem, then of course you're going to be miserable and of course it's going to feel like the end of the world. But when you take like a larger perspective, maybe it's this week, not today, maybe it's this month, maybe it's this year, maybe it's like eternity. It's like the largest perspective, right? It helps you have more hope and like not take things so seriously sometimes, I think.
Yeah. And you've always been like a pretty intellectually curious person too, right? Like we talked a little bit about hobbies. and you told me like 10 different different things that you like
Too
self-taught.
many.
Yeah, you did. So yeah, could you tell us a little bit about like different hobbies, different things that you've like learned along the way as like a kid, adult, like because you I know you've done a fair amount of things outside of work, just different interests. You're sort of like a sounds like sort of like a Renaissance woman.
Uh,
Um,
I think I just don't like to be bored. Like if I am
right.
at all, if life is too quiet, again, this is probably related to like, the moving all the time, but like if life is too quiet and too known and too expected, I'll look for something else to do or look for something else to build. I really, really love building things. And I think that that's one of the through lines we see at everyone at Fruitful, everyone who we've hired is they're all builders. They would do it for fun. Even if
Yeah.
they were financially independent, they'd probably still be tinkering on something because they just like to. But I have done everything. I taught myself how to sew. I turned that into a little like Amazon business that actually is still running and is still profitable. I taught myself a bunch of different instruments. I got into interior design at one point, and like we reorganize our houses and our rooms every time we moved. Um, I love to garden. I'm trying to think of what else. The one thing I don't really like to do and have never really found interesting is cooking. But like anything else, anything else is probably something that I've dabbled in. I'm really into organization. At one point, I started like a little custom planner company. Another time, I like built a website that scraped clothing inventory from different department websites and compiled it because I was trying to find a thing and I couldn't find it. I thought other people were having the same problem. I just like to tinker. It's probably a problem
I
sometimes.
don't know. Well, it's a I think as an entrepreneur, it's like every time it's like I think you had mentioned too. It's like every time you identify a problem or something to learn, you're like, oh, there's a business around this.
Right, right.
Before
Yeah,
you know it, there's like five businesses to build. Your
I know. You have
yeah,
to just keep like a notepad off to the side and you're like, future business idea. Like, don't
right,
have time for this now. Someone else do this. I would be a customer.
right,
Like,
yeah, yeah. And you even before you started Fruitful, you were involved in a couple of different startups, right? I think the first one was when you were in college, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, so I was fortunate to be connected as a college freshman at this program. You could like sign up for a class, and the class was an internship, and they would like match you with a local company. And I just happened to get matched with a local startup that it was a software tech startup that was doing some really cool, interesting things in fields that I was interested in. And I think what struck me about that experience was that the founders of this company were just students. They were not, they weren't different than me. They weren't smarter than me. One of them was an engineer, so they had some skills that I didn't have.
Right.
But but I was like, oh, there's nothing different about these people and me. They just decided to build something to solve a problem. And this company was like funding their education. Like it was profitable. And that just made me realize that you should, if you want to do something, you should just start it. Like people do it. You can do it.
Yeah, it's nice when you can it like surprises you when you start to be able to get in circles like of other successful people and you realize like, oh, okay, like they aren't like superhuman, right? Like they're
Mhm.
just humans that make mistakes. And usually if folks are further along, it usually is, I think it often more often than not, it does come down to behavior. Of course, like
Yeah.
intelligence does play a role. Like it is important. Like, but like we can never underestimate like the importance of like behavioral fit and thinking about behavioral traits and not even traits from the perspective of like what you're kind of like where you are today or have acted historically, but being intentional about our behavior like moving forward. Like we were talking about like with speed, right? Like that's, being incredibly proactive is a behavior and maybe it comes a little more naturally to some people than others, but it's something we can model. We can look at really successful people and work on that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wonder if there's ever, sometimes I wonder, I feel like there's kind of like you're either a consumer or you're a producer. Yeah, you're probably like predominantly more one than the other. I don't think it's all good all the time. Like I definitely feel like a producer. I'm actually really not good at consuming things. Like I'm really bad at like enjoying things, like
oh, yeah.
and just like slowing down and consuming them. So I think in an ideal world we'd be 50-50. But but it's interesting to see like where
Hmm.
people lean and kind of what gives them energy.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it. I'm gonna have to give that some more thought too. Um, yeah, that's really cool. And then you got involved with another startup in California, right?
Yeah. So
Was
while
it?
I had had a couple of jobs out of college, I was working in private wealth management at the time, but we had moved to California because my husband was in business school. And we would just, this is in Palo Alto. And so we would attend like pitch nights for fun because that's what you
Hmm.
do in Silicon Valley is you go to all the venture capitalist offices and they have great events going on. And at one of these pitch nights, a startup was in the competition that pitched their company again in an area that was like particularly interesting to me. And this guy's name is Rich. And he like walked out of the room at the end of the pitch night and was like clearly trying to go somewhere, like trying to kind of escape the crowd. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard of. Like, I'm not letting this guy leave this room until I talk to him. And so I literally chased him down and I stuck out my hand and shook his hand awkwardly. And I was like, hey, like, you don't know me. My name is Rebecca, but like, I'm going to work for you for free. Can I have your email address? It literally said that to him. And he was like, okay, like, what do you say to that? No, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like kind of weird, right? But he gave me his email address and I emailed him. And I did end up doing a lot of just like research and customer interviews and just fun. I was young, like, just a lot of fun stuff for this tech company. And probably would have ended up working for them officially if they hadn't moved on to New York on the other side of the country. But it was such a fun experience. I would do it all over again.
I love it. And so now you've been at you started Fruitful like how many years ago? It was a few years ago, I think.
Around 4 years, yeah.
4 years? Okay. So I'd love to get into talking a little bit more about, okay, based on where you are today and the experience you have, kind of like some top takeaways, top lessons learned. And I would love to start with hiring and then people in general. I think we already actually we covered some of this
Yeah.
already. We talked about, I think we already talked about like being super proactive,
Mhm.
being really good problem solvers. But you also talked about like what was interesting is so you said proactive, problem solver, and the third thing you mentioned to me was courage,
Mhm.
which I thought was like it really stood out to me. I was like, okay, so mentioning courage like as one of like the core like pillars in a sense, right?
Right.
Could you tell me like why you feel that's so important and just your thought process behind that?
Yeah, so we're particularly with Fruitful, we're building something that has never been built before. The jobs and the roles that we're hiring for don't exist. So we're like
Wow.
hiring people into a role that they've never actually technically done. Like it's really similar in some ways to some things that
Sure.
they have done, but completely new and completely different in other ways. And so they're stepping into a thing that they've never done before. And so I think it's just really important to me that they seem brave and like courageous and unafraid. Because the flip side, if someone is like timid or unsure or insecure, like that's not going to fly in a startup, right? Some place where things aren't clearly defined, where they're always moving, where you have to like adapt really quickly, just jump in and figure it out. I think courage to me is just like this clear-eyed attitude of like, I don't know, let's try. Like, let's try it. I think also with fintech in general, it's like it's a highly regulated space.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have FINRA on the banking side, and we also have the SEC on the advice side. And so when you're doing something that has never been done before, a lot of people that come from like financial backgrounds they could be like, oh, well, that's not how we normally do it. Or like, are we allowed to do it that way? That's not how it's done, right? We always charge AUM, or we always hire this way, or we always build this way, or we always run our advising process this way. Are you allowed to do it any differently? And of course you are, right? Like, of course, the end rule is that you just have to act in the best interest of the consumer. And that is exactly what we're trying to do, even though it's a little bit different. So we need everyone at the company uh, to be brave. Yeah, maybe it's
Yeah,
a
I think it's like that's really well said. And I think again it like just tying into the behavioral fit. Like one thing that I've learned over the years is particularly for a startup, like you can never compromise on behavioral fit.
yeah,
It's always proven itself to me. Like honestly, it's like when it comes to courage and like being proactive, like that type of individual. Like I call it like one thing say do ratio, 100%
Oh,
say do ratio. If we say we're going to do it, we do it.
I
Uh,
love that.
and if we can't get it done when we say we're going to get it done, we proactively communicate it, right? Like again, looping back to proactive.
Uh-huh.
So if you get somebody with like high level follow through, say do ratio, and they're proactive, like that combination, like it's like the clear expectation setting. And because you had also actually expectation setting. So you had mentioned that one of your professional takeaways. This is really cool because like everything kind of ties together, which is really awesome. Um, you said most problems are caused by misaligned expectations, which sort of ties into if you have the person with the right behavioral fit, then this doesn't happen quite as much, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
you're proactive and you do what you say you're going to do, like that combination. But let's talk more about that. So most problems are caused by misaligned expectations. Can you explain that to us, or maybe even give us some examples?
Yeah, misaligned or misunderstood expectations, right?
Yeah,
Like most problems are communication problems. Like
yeah,
before
fair enough.
you assume, someone is doing something intentionally or someone isn't good enough at something or someone can't do something, like in reality, what's probably happening is like you're understanding things differently. And so if you get just really, really clear on the expectations, like what you're supposed to be doing, what they're supposed to be doing, what the company is doing, what the sprint is doing, what's included,
Yeah,
what's not, like just being really crystal clear on the expectations usually solves all the problems because then people are like, oh, then everything else makes more sense. Like, oh, I understand the decision making now, or like, I understand how you are asking me and expecting me to do this, but I was doing this because I understood it to be something else, which is a vague way of explaining clarity.
yeah.
But yeah.
So Rebecca, is everyone in your company remote or do you have in-person location as well? Like how does it work?
Yeah, so from my team, all the financial advisors are remote. We do have a little hub of people here in Northern Virginia, and we do have an office in New York,
Mm.
in Midtown. So we have a group that works out of there, a small group that comes in to the office occasionally here, but by and large, the company is mostly remote. And that has so many pros, but it also comes with some nuances.
Yeah.
If you're only interacting on Zoom, what does that mean? And if you don't see each other during the day, like you have to manage the team a little bit differently in a remote world, I
Yeah,
think,
for
than you would
sure.
in person.
There's a ton of benefits. Like one of the challenges that I see is like alignment on when it comes to expectations, like alignment and speed at times. So I'm wondering like how do you approach that with like remote team members? Just genuinely curious to get your because my company is both as well. Like we have our in-person office in Reston, and then my so a secure vision services companies in Reston. Then I have a small office in Alexandria for my software company because that's my technical co-founders out there. So that's how that happened.
Oh,
Um,
no.
yeah, but but a lot of my company at Secure Vision, like my senior staff is remote. Like
Mhm.
we have people throughout the United States and Latin America and Europe.
Mhm.
I think the way we can make it work is that we have like really clear performance metrics because they're like in
Yeah,
recruiter positions, so we can see
great.
pipeline metrics. It makes it a little easier. And they're senior; they have like 10 years of experience.
Yeah.
And then the way we do is like go to market team junior. Also, it's like building a motion from the ground up, like 0 to 1. So we're like in person full time.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm curious, like how you see remote and like how you keep things moving really fast at a startup speed and maintain alignment in like kind of a remote leadership capacity.
Yeah, I think you have to over communicate
Yeah.
excessively. Everyone has to. That's not just
Yeah.
like leadership needs to over communicate, like everyone needs to be over communicating. So, because you're not, for example, sitting next to a person, so you're not going to be sitting next to the new hire and just notice that they're doing this one thing that actually they don't need to be doing. That's going to save them 2 hours a day because they don't need to be doing that thing. We have a shortcut for them. We have a different way to do it, right? You're not going to see that. We usually solve that with asking for a lot of communication. We solve that by doing a lot of like virtual practicing and like shadowing when people join. So they watch other people do things, other people watch them do things, literally like share your screen and do this. And that helps a lot. And then I think the other thing that we do is we make it smaller Because with a remote company, it's kind of like being in a huge crowd in a weird way, even if the team isn't enormous. We have like around 45 people in the company right now, but there are a billion Slack messages flying all the time. So there's like a lot of noise, and there are a lot of product releases and new features and changes and announcements that won't absorb unless you're like over communicating important things. But then you also have to break people down into smaller groups where they can actually talk and actually listen. So, for example, on our guidance team, we break down the financial advisors into groups of like 4 or 5 people, and we have an advisor lead the group, kind of like a manager. And so in this like much smaller setting, they review all of the changes, all of the new stuff, they practice things, they answer questions. But you're never going to get anything understood and done and aligned on like a 20-person Zoom call, in
Yeah.
my experience, at least in our roles. So you have to kind of like replicate smaller rooms in efficient ways, which means that you need champions in the company and your team because you can't do all that, right? Like I can't do all that. So you need your people who like understand everything as well as you do and can go be your guides, right? To make sure everyone is up to speed too.
Yeah, that's really it's well said. Well said. And you said you also talked to me a little bit about like top takeaways personally or holistically, because I think it applies to work and personal life. Um, Kind of like where the root cause of most of our problems also like you see comes from, you said two things, a lack of sleep or two, like personal ownership, right? Was that the second
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, this is actually,
Okay.
I saw this from someone else. It was a blogger. I think her name is Layla Lawler. She's not a business person, not a startup person. She's like a um, homeschooling mom of like 8 kids or something. Anyway, but she said this, and I was like, you know what,
That
this,
sounds like an incredibly hard job. That sounds harder
yeah,
than entrepreneurship for
right.
sure.
So she knows something about grit and
For sure.
achievement. But yeah, she said, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but like most of your own problems in your life are probably caused by lack of sleep and or lack of discipline. And I remember reading that and I was like, oof, she's right. Like, one, if you're not like physically taking care of yourself, you're never going to be in a mental state to be able to handle things, right?
True.
Like you
Yeah.
have to sleep, and that's hard with little kids and
Hmm.
life sometimes. But we do our best. And on the discipline part, there definitely have been times in my life where other people that I love and respect have said a similar thing to me, and I like didn't listen to them because I feel like I recoiled from truth. I was like, no, it's not me. It's not me. It's like this other person or it's this other situation. And of course, with some distance and perspective, I'm like, they were totally, it was me. Like it was totally me in that
Yep.
situation. I wasn't doing things that I could have been doing to make things so much better. So it's much easier said than done, like we were talking about. But I feel like I tried to approach problems or situations that need to be improved or things that aren't going well with first the question of like, am I the problem? Right? Like, how am I contributing to this problem? Are there other things that I need to be doing or could be doing that would make a big difference here? Before you start, looking externally or finding excuses or throwing blame on other people. We are usually our own roadblocks.
I I don't, do you use any wearable tech? Like
Yes, I think I have an
you
Oura
have the
ring.
Oura Ring? Okay,
Yeah.
so I do too. So I found out at like 32 that I'm not a great sleeper.
Oh no.
Yeah, I guess I should have known. I mean, in hindsight, but it's like in relation to other people, I didn't realize that like my quality of sleep was not like, I really struggle with like deep sleep, and so I'm like kind of doing
Yeah.
this like
You're getting like
research now,
less
trying to
than
get
an
into
hour.
how to optimize sleep.
Yeah, yeah. But the most deep sleep I ever get is 2 hours, like REM sleep, right? But
Deep or REM?
oh gosh, now I'm confusing it.
There's
Whichever one
there's the
it is.
REM sleep, and then there's the deep sleep on the Aura Ring. I'm usually good on REM.
Yeah,
But it's the deep sleep where I'll get like 15, 30 minutes. You're supposed to get like an hour, hour and 15 minutes, like something like that.
really. I think that's the one. Yeah.
That's the
Um,
one I struggle with, like the deep sleep.
Has anything helped? You found any good hacks
I
too?
mean, I don't know. I take a lot of magnesium,
Hmm.
a lot, glycinate. I take like more than the recommended dose, which hopefully I'm not like Like
Oh,
because I feel like I need it, like because I it's like
yeah.
the glycinate like helps relax the nervous system
Mhm.
and like your muscles. And so I take a lot of that at night. And I also take 3 and 8, which is another type of magnesium, like magnesium 3 and 8, and that crosses the blood-brain barrier more effectively. So it's better for cognitive performance, so like working memory and just overall like brain health. So
Mhm.
I do take a lot of that, and I think it helps. But the issue for me is like my body just adapts to like whatever I'm taking, and then it's just like, okay,
It's
now
fine.
we're
Yeah.
right back to it, you know?
Well, it's hard if you're someone who has a lot to get done and
Hmm.
is really good at getting stuff done and likes to get it done right away to actually like shut off the computer at
Yeah.
the end of the day when you know you need to. Do you want to know a funny tidbit I just learned
Yeah,
today, speaking of
please.
random side things, about magnesium? So flour, like the flour that is in the bread that you're eating, or even the flour that you buy at the store, when it's milled, like in a normal mass manufacturing way, it strips out all of the magnesium from the bread. So if you compare like freshly milled flour, like you just literally just ground it up yourself versus regularly milled flour or things made with regularly milled flour, it has like 6 times more magnesium in it,
Whoa.
um, tons more fiber in it, like has all of the
Mhm.
nutrients and the germ is still there and all that stuff. So to some extent, I'm kind of like, yeah, a lot of the conveniences in our life are probably contributing to this.
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
that.
that
And then
doesn't help. Uh,
the other thing that gets me like when it comes to like sleep is I'm so busy throughout the day. I'm like usually back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Like nonstop. And then it like
yeah.
starts like often we'll start before work because like I have a daughter. So it's like on the
Hmm.
days that she's with me versus like at her mom's, it's like,
Yeah.
so it's just like so a lot of times I don't like I'm at the office minimum till 6:30, a lot of times till 8:30 unless my daughter's with me.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of times I'll get home at like 8 p.m. and I'll need to eat. Like I've
Yeah.
hardly eaten all day. And then I'll have like a big meal, which if you have a big meal before bed, apparently like that
Yeah.
really disrupts your sleep. So it's just like,
Mhm.
okay, like,
Keeps your heart rate up. I know you got to get some easy meals and just stick them in your office fridge.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. So like when I'm tracking like all, I got this Aura ring now and I like part of me loves it and part of me is like, you know what? I'd be better off just not like I don't need to.
I had an Apple Watch for a long time. Didn't super love it. I love the Aura Ring because I
It's pretty
cannot
cool.
hide from myself anymore. Like it's
It's
so
true.
digestible and so in your face. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I did have ice cream at 10 p.m. last night,
Right.
and like
And
that's why
right.
like heart rate was so high. Like um yeah.
Yeah, but like it's like the also like the worst part of like is just not in your 20s anymore and you're in your 30s and you like have a glass of wine and then you see like your metrics for the next week like tank.
Oh,
Like you're like I was like what, come on, like it's not like or just like ice cream or something or you eat too much like like just you have something that like you're like oh it's not a big deal and you see like all your metrics like
yeah.
day after day decline, it's kind of
Yeah.
funny.
It's interesting that I feel like, especially when you're in this mode where you're juggling all the things, right? It's like it's
Yeah.
startup, it's kids, it's family, it's day-to-day life. It's like who even knows how much laundry you have to do still right now. If you aren't proactively disciplined, you will flail, right? Like
Yeah,
this
for
happens to me
sure.
all the time, right? Like the discipline isn't in the reaction. It has to be like, I don't need this yet, but if I skip doing this thing now, 2 days from now, everything's gonna fall apart. So like I cannot skip doing this thing. That's what I need to work on. More.
I think
But
we all feel like it, particularly if it's a priority, then you always like I always feel like I need to do it more. Like there's never I mean, I think like balance is important and not every like as you said, because I'm sort of also obsessive on optimization too. But then I'm like, okay, I still want to like, have some time to relax or whatever. And um but yeah, it's like you like like I feel like at this point in my life I had to be so insanely consistent like with my health and my schedule, like my sleep schedule, my work, my responsiveness. And I really am trying to be like super dialed into like the benefits of doing it and how quickly I see things start to fall off, like from speed or
yeah,
progress, like when I'm not incredibly consistent. Like I feel like you have to be so much more disciplined than like what we see in society, like in general,
I
like
agree.
way more.
And you have to figure out, you don't have to do all the things. That's too much.
Yeah,
But you have to figure out the things that actually make the biggest difference for you. For me, that's going on a long walk in the mornings, like after the kids get on the bus,
that's great.
like with a weighted vest, like a grandma, like
Nice.
like 45 minutes, like really tire you out. I'm a different person if I don't do that for 2 days in a
Yeah.
row. It's just you like I'm like the oxygen, the exercise. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, it's that.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, working out is it makes such a huge difference, right? Like in my productivity and just mood in general, I think, like energy levels.
Yep, yep, yep. Stress and yeah, and you have to
Yeah,
kind of
just
quiet time.
outlook, general outlook, like significantly better. Yeah, it's like investing in yourself is like one way to think about it, right? Like
Mhm.
taking the time to invest in ourselves with sleep and working out and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and this all I feel like we're making this all sound like go, go, go all the time, all the time, all the time. But like there have to be spaces of quiet in your
Yeah.
day, otherwise, like usually when I'm on that walk, I'm not listening to anything. Sometimes it's a book or a podcast or music, but most of the time I'm like, oh, the birds.
Yeah.
Hallelujah, there are birds, it's spring. Right? Like,
Yeah.
and that helps a lot. So sometimes it's not, sometimes it is, you need to do more, and sometimes it's like you need to strip away stuff. There's too much noise, there's too much distraction in your life. Like you need to strip some of it out.
I agree.
Yeah.
Particularly when you are really busy, constantly listening to stuff, like consuming stuff versus just like being,
Hmm.
like what you're saying, like listening to the birds versus like music. Because like at the end of the day, I feel like anything we consume, even if it's like music or I mean, it's all stuff that's like activating different parts of our brain, leaving different impressions on us. And it's like, okay, if you're already running a million miles per hour with a startup and kids, like your brain needs time of not consuming
Hmm.
information constantly, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yep. I'm not going to tell you how often I read the news because it's very rarely.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing I also noticed in people, I feel like I notice this a lot in young people or people who are getting started, who like want to start something, start a business, start a thing, build a thing. They get into this mode of like wanting to consume everything related to building, which I feel like is good to a certain extent, but past a certain extent, it's just procrastination, right? Like you can listen to 500 startup podcasts and like if you
Yeah.
never actually do anything, right? It doesn't like you're not actually making any progress. Like you have to do the thing and do it poorly. Like just start. But sometimes when I notice like am I in the mode of like massively consuming information? Am I avoiding doing something? Do I need to just get something done? um, Instead of try to learn constantly, because at a certain point you have to put the learning into practice, right?
Yeah, you got to run experiments, right? I mean, even scientists, right? Like
Yeah,
they don't just stick to textbooks. Like they're out like running experiments. Like I mean, you got to like get out there and take action.
yeah.
Yeah, you do see that. You just see
Well, what if you,
a lot of people do that, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, it's well intentioned and can be super helpful, but
And I think it also can become like a comfort zone for people where they
mhm.
feel productive because they're just constantly learning, but
Yeah,
like getting out and executing and doing it feels really uncomfortable,
right,
right?
right. It's like how I feel when I go to the Nutcracker like once a year. I'm not like a ballet person. It's gonna make me sound like a ballet person, but like when I'm watching a ballet performance, I'm like, wow, like look at those muscles, like look at this like incredible feat. And then I'm not dancing, right? Like no part of me is performing any of that, but it feels like I've like, I don't know, like absorbed some of the achievement like, just by listening to it, which I haven't. So if you want to, you gotta dance. If you want to be able to do it, you have to dance.
Right. Gotta go do the thing.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about your future and like I know you're like very mission driven and I know you're also very just like career driven. Like I think your perspective is like more holistic than that in terms of like what you're here to do. And I know there's things that are more important than that. But the first thing that you mentioned was really thinking about your future, and I think it ties professional future ties into what you're doing at Fruitful. But you have a pretty cool mission. I would love to kind of hear about like what you feel like you want to build for the future.
Yeah, when it comes to what we're doing right now at Fruitful, um, my end goal here is going to sound audacious and crazy, but I want to solve personal finance for Americans, right? Like it's the number one stressor, it's the leading cause of tension in relationships. People are stressed out and anxious and they don't know what to do with their finances and they can't
Mm.
manage them. And that's not their fault, it's the system's fault. And so I really want to change that system and flip it all on its head and be like, you know what? Nowhere in the world, like Americans are the best supported. Like they save the best, they're the most financially literate, they're the wisest, like they build things they're not taken advantage of. Like I want to flip that script entirely. And the way that we're doing that at Fruitful is by focusing a lot on automation because what we found in the era of like advice and awareness being like budgeting tools or budgeting apps, and advice being it could be like a finfluencer or it could be a financial advisor, like or it could be ChatGPT now. Like, there are
Right.
plenty of ways to get advice. There are plenty of tools that also give you some awareness around like, hey, where has my money been going? Like, what have I been spending it on? But there really is nothing in the category of execution. And that's the problem. Like, we know what we need to do, and we kind of know where the money has been going. If we put in effort, we can kind of figure that out. But it's really, really hard to actually do it, to actually spend less, to actually save more, to actually invest more. And so our entire approach is built around money systems and automation and execution. And I think that's the only way we have a shot at achieving that like big mission of helping Americans do better.
Yeah.
Because you have the opposite happening, which is that there's so much technology and automation that is leading people down the not good path. Like it's so easy to accidentally overspend. There are subscriptions, there are betting apps, there are like all these things that make it so easy and automated to do poorly financially. If we want a shot at changing the narrative here, we have to give them the alternative that makes it so easy for them technologically to do well financially. So, yeah, we talk about Fruitful for 10 hours.
Yeah, no, it was like a super interesting business, and it's seems like a lot of it's based on the kind of integrations and kind of like the integration, like having almost like an all-in-one approach to personal finance, like within one application is what enables like these automated like workflows to like from an execution perspective versus having all these like segmented systems that
Yeah.
frankly are built on like very archaic technology that don't really communicate well with each other.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Right now,
yeah.
people are their own middleman in finances. Like this app tells them to do this thing, and they have to talk to like 20 different apps, and they have to do the transfers, and they have to remember things. You don't need to be your own middleman. Like
Yeah.
we want technology to be like kind of like your personal private banker. Like they've
Yeah.
got it. Like stuff is moving, they're paying the bills, they're telling me how much I can spend. Like, oh yeah, they already moved that money to the investment account. And we can do that now with technology, which we couldn't do, 5 years ago. So now is the time.
Yeah, it's awesome. I definitely encourage everyone like tuning in to check out Fruitful. And because you had shown me kind of like a dummy account, or whatever you want
Yeah,
to call it, when we were meeting for coffee, and it's like really cool, and it's like it seemed really intuitive as well, like the interface and um,
right, right.
yeah,
That's one of my other goals here is that like most of the industry, this makes me so mad. Most of the industry makes things seem more complicated to make them seem smarter to make you buy something. Like,
yeah,
here's this
fair
like
enough.
advanced options trading thing, or this is actually really complicated investment approach, or here's this like nuanced thing about how you buy and hold real estate or something. Like by making that seem complicated and hard, so like then you'll buy things from them. But the reality is like this stuff is actually like really simple, and so we're not trying to make any of it seem more complicated than it actually is. We're actually trying to make it seem like as simple and as straightforward as possible. So it's not intimidating. So it's super clear. And people are like, great. Yes, obviously I should do this. Like, I'm going to push go, like, done.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like there's cl very clearly like there was big emphasis on UX, like just like seeing
Yeah.
within the app too, like the mobile view.
Mhm.
It's really cool. Um, so all this being said, like very successful, ambitious entrepreneur, wired like an entrepreneur through and through. From my perspective, like from our conversations, Um, but you also talked to me about a couple of like holistically in terms of your future and how you think about like your value system and what's most important. You shared a couple of like quotes that really resonate with you as like almost lead to kind of guiding principles. Um, in the first one you said is that I'd like to start with. You said, "No success can compensate for failure at home," or something
Yeah.
like that. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Um,
no,
okay,
no success can compensate for failure in the home. I think my
okay,
parents said this on the wall at some point somewhere. I don't know. Um, but it like resonates with me, right? Like you can build the biggest business in the world, or I guess I'll only speak for myself. I could build the biggest business in the world and be, ultimately financially successful, and 10 generations of Palmers will never have to work again, right? Like, but if my kids don't want to talk to me, if they don't want to see like it, if they don't like each other, if we don't enjoy spending time together, if there are like relationship troubles, like it's not worth it. None of it is worth it at the expense of family. Because really, like, this is something you and I were talking about when we were having coffee, was like, you don't have to, right? Like, you
yeah,
can have a perfectly fine life. If you're not naturally like wired to be a builder, like, that's fine. You can have a happy home, a happy family, being a teacher or being a whatever it is that you do in the world. And so it's not like you're not obligated to go and do huge, big things. But if you want to, and if you like to, probably like most people who are listening to this, then you just have to make sure not to put the cart before the horse, right? Like, just because you're into it and you're capable of doing something big, you shouldn't forget what really matters most to you. And for me, that's has always been family.
yeah, for sure. I think it's like our health and our relationships, our health and our family, uh, they have to come first. And also, I think they're typically considered like more directly responsible for our ultimate happiness or level of fulfillment. Like I think life's work, like as an entrepreneur, I think it's like opposed to thinking things as a career, we see it as like our life's work, which makes it
Yeah.
from our perspective like
Mhm.
really fulfilling. Or at least, for me, like I see it as like I approach my career. I'm fortunate enough to be able to consider it's like, okay, what do I want to do with my life's work, right? It's different.
Yeah.
But like health for me, it's like I feel like I have to put it first because I have to be healthy to provide for my family.
Yeah.
Like my daughter needs me to be healthy. I can't even I should want to be healthy for me because it's like my quality of life, but I also selfishly can't like decide to be unhealthy because I have to set an example for her for how her to treat her own body and
Hmm.
prioritization, but also I have to be there. Like she needs me to be healthy, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like I put like the health, like family, and I feel like if our relationships are in a good place and we're fortunate enough to be healthy and we take care of ourselves, like, we can be like really happy. Or, at least like, like more so than if I guess if we didn't is sort of like the way that I kind of think about it. In terms of like our own level of fulfillment too, it's like one quote that resonated with me, you might like this one, is like the quality of our life is the quality of our emotional state.
Hmm.
Like where we kind of live emotionally. And I feel like if our relationships are in a good place and our health is in a good place, like emotionally, we're going to be in a hopefully like a really centered,
Hmm.
good place. Sort of like
Hmm.
how it's like similar, right? Like it's sort of how I think about it too, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
relationships, family need to come first.
It's never going to be there all the time, right? Like
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about this idea of young people and how much they're spending on wellness stuff. It's kind of
Hmm.
like a new thing. Like, young folks are spending a lot of money willingly on wellness things in a way that
Yeah.
generations didn't beforehand. And I think it's because wellness is like a positive thing. Like, for our generation, I'll speak for us maybe.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like for our parents and above, like, being healthy was the lack of being ill. Like, if you are not chronically ill or injured, you're healthy, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're, it's not a negative, it's a healthy.
Right.
But I feel like for our generation, like, wellness is actually like a positive thing. It's like feeling well as opposed to just not feeling sick. And sometimes that can feel aspirational, like no one's going
Sure.
to feel well all the time. Relationships aren't going to be well all the time, but it's the resilience, it's the return to normal, it's the kind of like how long does it take you to recover when you got that really bad news about that contract, or when you had that difficult conversation with that person? Um, that matters the most. And we're gonna be humans throughout all of it. But you can be well without feeling well constantly, I guess,
Oh
is a
yeah, for sure. Like
right.
things are gonna come up, right?
Yeah.
Always. Yeah, yeah. Um, so you also another quote that you shared with me, it was about like all careers exist to serve the ultimate career. What was it exactly?
Yeah, I'm just paraphrasing. I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
this was a C.S. Lewis one, but it was about how all professions or all careers exist to serve the ultimate profession or career, which is like homemaking. So this is like a very radical, thing for him to say. It's like homemaker is the ultimate career, right?
Yeah.
But um, but I don't know, it kind of like resonates with me because it informs my perspective, right? Like, and it kind of makes sense, right? Like we have cars and automobiles and technology and food and buildings and education and resources all because we need those in the home and we need those as people and we need those in our families. And so if all of these things are meant to serve the home and the family, then that's the end. Like that's the end goal.
That's
It's like happiness at home is the end pursuit. Um,
right.
yeah, yeah. And like when it comes to finances, like money is often the biggest point of contention in homes. And that can come from misaligned expectations, right? Like we talked
Yeah.
about before. It can come from just like the stress of being in the economic environment that we're in right now. Like, holy smokes, it costs how much to buy a house here? Like, are you crazy? Those
Yeah.
are
It's nuts.
real those are very much realities that people face, but there's a lot that we can do to bring that stress level down in people, either just individually or with them in their home, with their family, or the relationships they have. Like money doesn't have to be the biggest stressor. Like
Yeah.
it's very solvable. Like let's solve it for people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's like, we were talking about discipline earlier, and like it is critically important, but I don't think we can be successful off willpower alone. Like you have to build systems. You have to like you
Mhm.
talk about like obsessively optimizing. You have to have like automation. As you mentioned, you taught me, this isn't coming from me guys, it's coming from Rebecca. Like you taught me that in order to like really be successful or optimize something, you have to automate it. You have to find those types of opportunities because it's like willpower is important, discipline's important, but like you also like you're a human being, right? Like you need systems, right? Like things that make it easier so it's not constantly pushing a boulder up a mountain. Like
Mhm.
we need systems that automate, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
because
I
that's
don't know,
the
it just
only
made me think of
way.
that.
Yeah, that's the only way that it can go in the part of your brain that requires like active management and active
Yeah.
weight to just like running on autopilot, right? Like think about how calm you feel. Well, maybe this is a bad example. I was going to say when you're driving to like preschool drop off or whatever, because you know the route, you've driven it 5 million times, and like you don't even have to think about it. You don't even know how you got there because it's just so automatic for you. Like that's what we have set up to happen with people's finances, right? Like you do not even have to think about it. Like you're gonna have enough money to pay your bills and to buy groceries and like all of those goals and priorities that you have. You want to send your kids to college, you want to pay off debt, you want to buy a house, like whatever it is. Like
Hmm.
every little bit of progress that is available to be captured is automatically captured and routed. So you don't have to like actively think about it so much
Yeah.
because that would be exhausting.
Right. That's yeah, that kind of is, right? Like doing too much manually on an ongoing basis.
Mhm.
Right? Like just constantly. Like I don't know. I'd consider myself like a relatively disciplined person, but again, I think one thing as I've gotten older is like in a way cutting myself a little slack and being like, okay, I can't just operate off like sheer willpower. Like I
Yeah.
can do it a lot, but like I need help, right? Like I need ways to kind of outsource and to automate and to like take a world of like seemingly endless complexity and simplify like
Yeah,
as much as I can,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, I think most of our day actually is run by habits. And so,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, and I mean, there are lots of great books out there on that and lots of great studies that I
Yeah.
won't have to talk about, but it's just really interesting. Like if you can automate it, you will achieve the thing. You will. It's just a
Right.
question of
It's
time.
just setting course and having, yeah, just progressing
Mhm.
to it, right? It's
Yeah. The analogy that we make sometimes with Fruitful is that like we've created self-driving money, which is usually a thing that people understand. Like you just put it in the destination, you don't even have to drive the car. Like you just sit there. Like
Right.
it will take you where you need to go. It'll make the turns, it'll make the trade-offs. There's a roadblock, it'll reroute. Like it will take you where you need to go, which is
It's
cool.
awesome.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
fun
Well,
stuff.
it's a really cool business that you're building, and I'm really excited to see how it continues to progress. And um yeah, it's got a lot of really exciting things going on, and I love your like just perspective and worldview, and um, it's also just like a very cohesive story, like in terms of just different things, like in terms of like how you grew up and your values, and it's like it's pretty cool to see like where that's led you today and where the direction you're heading. So, Rebecca, I just want to say thank you like so much for joining me today on the show, and I've had a lot of fun recording with you and getting to know you, and I know our audience has too. So. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it has been so fun. And we are not that very far away from each other. So I think we're friends now. We're gonna find all the
Yes.
other entrepreneurs in the area and gather them
Well,
together.
yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, you were interested in getting involved with Georgetown entrepreneurship, right? We talked
Sure.
about that, I think briefly.
Yeah. If I can be
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, because I think you did like a cert or something at Georgetown, right? If I remember
Yeah.
from your
So that's
LinkedIn.
that's where I did my CFP, actually, was at
Oh,
Georgetown.
yeah. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta make some intros there too. But yeah, we should definitely work on that together. But anyways, for everybody tuning in, let's go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, James.